stars were quiet that night. The galaxy moved in peace. Trade routes were open. Fleets drifted slowly between systems, and the council chamber shone like a jewel above the capital world of Zythera. Everything seemed normal until the signal arrived. It came without warning, breaking through communication lines coded in a human frequency long thought abandoned. At first, no one understood it. The signal carried static, short bursts of sound, and then a single image. Earth, burning. Inside the Grand Council chamber, alien leaders turned toward the hologram at the center. Flames danced over the blue planet. City lights faded one by one. The chamber fell silent. The hum of translation devices now the only sound. An elder from the Sarathi race, her scales glowing silver under the council lights, broke the silence. This must be false. Humans do not wage war, they are quiet. A second voice, low and mechanical, came from a robotic envoy. Data verified. The footage is real. Earth is under attack. Shock spread through the room. Many could not believe it. Humans were not part of the council. They were new to space, still learning. They traded small goods, kept to themselves, and never caused problems. No one had ever seen them fight. A tall alien named Raxer leaned forward, his four eyes narrowing. "Who dares attack a sentient world without approval?" he demanded. His voice echoed. But no answer came. Moments later, a young officer entered the chamber, breathing fast. He was from the communication division, his uniform scorched as if he had run through fire. "Message from the Sol system," he said. "It's human-coded." The chamber lights dimmed automatically. The hologram flickered again. A voice spoke, broken by static, deep and calm but filled with anger. "To whoever started this, we know where you came from. We are coming." Then the signal ended. The silence afterward felt heavier than any explosion. "What does it mean?" asked one council member. "Coming where?" The officer shook his head. "No coordinates. Just that message." The elder Sarathi turned to the others. "We must send aid. They will not survive alone." But another member, a pale creature with transparent skin, hissed softly. "No, if they are under attack, someone must have provoked it. Humans are reckless." Arguments broke out across the chamber. Voices overlapped, translators struggled to keep up. The council, which once spoke with calm and order, now sounded like a battlefield. Then the doors opened again. A figure entered, tall, wrapped in the blue cloak of the Intelligence Guild. Her name was Vera. She was one of the best agents in the galaxy, known for her cold logic and quiet voice. She stood at the center and said only one sentence. "You should all sit down." When they obeyed, she touched a small device on her wrist. The hologram changed. It showed multiple ships leaving Earth's orbit. They were not alien. They were human, sleek black with engines that glowed red like burning coal. "These ships appeared 1 hour after the attack," Vera said. "They are moving faster than any known human vessel. Their technology is new. Too advanced." Raxer frowned. "New? From where did they get such power?" Vara looked around. "That is the question. And one more thing, they are not escaping. They are hunting." The chamber froze. Every alien eye turned toward her. "Hunting?" the elder repeated. "Yes," Vara said. "They have locked onto the energy signatures of the attackers' ships. They are following them through warp lanes. I believe they are planning retaliation." Another voice, trembling, spoke from the far end. "Retaliation? Humans cannot fight against fleet-grade armies. They will die." Vera's expression did not change. "You do not understand. They are not attacking for victory. They are attacking for revenge." The word revenge echoed through the chamber. Even the translation devices paused, processing its meaning in multiple tongues. Outside the windows of the council chamber, the stars shone as they always did, unaware that a storm was coming. The council debated for hours. Some said the humans must be stopped before they made the situation worse. Others argued they should be protected, that no world deserved such a strike. But no one could decide who the real enemy was. The attackers had vanished into the dark regions beyond charted space. Finally, when exhaustion replaced anger, the council called for silence. The Supreme Speaker rose from his seat, his wings folding behind him. "We will send observers," he declared. "We must know what happens next. If the humans call for help, we will respond." Before he could finish, the communication officer received another transmission. He looked at his console, confusion on his face. "It's another signal from Sol." "Put it through," the speaker ordered. The hologram flickered once more. This time there was no fire, only darkness. A single human figure stood before the camera, wearing a black uniform with a faint symbol of Earth on the shoulder. The man's eyes were calm, his tone steady. To the Galactic Council, he said, "Do not interfere. This is not your war." Then the signal cut again. The chamber fell into stunned silence. No one moved. The Supreme Speaker stared at the empty hologram and whispered, "They just told us to stand down." Vera's voice broke the stillness. "Maybe we should listen." "What do you mean?" asked Raxer, disbelief in his tone. "They are a small world." "They will be destroyed." Vara shook her head. "No, look at their eyes. That was not fear. That was warning." Outside, in the cold of space, the first human fleet vanished into hyperspace trails, leaving behind a galaxy that did not yet understand what it had awakened. Later that night, when most of the council members had left, the speaker stood alone in the empty hall. He looked up at the stars through the great glass ceiling. No ships moved there now, only the faint glow of Earth's dying light. He whispered softly, almost to himself, "Who could be foolish enough to attack them?" A quiet voice answered from the shadows behind him. It was Vara again. "The same ones," she said, "who will soon regret it." The speaker turned, but she was already gone. And somewhere in the darkness, far from the council's reach, the humans prepared their response. For 3 days the galaxy held its breath. No one heard from Earth again. The council waited, expecting a cry for help or a request for peace talks. But the humans said nothing. Not a single signal, not even a whisper from the Sol system. The silence made everyone nervous. At first, many thought humanity had been wiped out. The attackers had struck hard, too hard. Yet there were no celebration messages from the pirates who did it, no signs of victory, no proof that Earth had fallen. It was as if both sides had vanished into the dark. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, the speaker sat with his advisors. "What if the humans are gone?" one of them asked quietly. Vera, the intelligence agent, stood near the large display window watching the stars. "No," she said. "They're not gone. They're preparing." The speaker frowned. "Preparing for what?" Vara turned slowly. "For war." The speaker wanted to argue, but before he could, a guard rushed in. "Incoming transmission, sir. It's coming from the outer colonies near the Vega Rim." "Put it through," the speaker said. The hologram came alive again, flickering in shades of blue and static. An alien commander appeared, his face pale and terrified. "We just detected multiple human ships moving through the Vega sector," he said. "But that's impossible. They don't have travel rights through there." "How many ships?" Vara asked. The commander swallowed hard. "At least 20. Maybe more, and they're moving faster than any known engine." Raxer, who had joined the meeting, banged his hand on the table. 20 ships cannot be that dangerous. Send patrols and stop them before they cause trouble." But Vara shook her head. "Do not underestimate them. Those ships carry more than metal and fuel. They carry anger." The speaker leaned forward. "Are they attacking anyone?" The commander's image flickered again. "No, not yet. But they are following the trail of the raiders who attacked Earth. Their direction is clear. They're heading straight for the Dravak system." Everyone in the room froze. The Dravak pirates were known across the galaxy, ruthless, powerful, and feared. No one challenged them. No one ever survived if they tried. "The humans are walking into death," said Raxer. "We must warn them." Vara's voice was calm. "Do you really think they care about death now?" The speaker stood up. "Send a message anyway. Tell them to stand down. Tell them the council forbids this." The officer nodded and began transmitting. But before he could finish, the hologram changed again. This time it wasn't the commander. It was a live feed from the Dravak system itself. The image showed a massive pirate fleet orbiting their red homeworld, weapons glowing, waiting for the humans to arrive. Their leader, a brutal alien with black armor and spiked arms, was laughing in front of his crew. "Earth was weak," he roared. "Their screams were music. When their ashes cool, we will take their moon too." Suddenly the laughter stopped. One of his officers shouted, "Multiple warp signatures detected." "They're here." Everyone in the council chamber leaned forward. The hologram shook as sensors picked up the incoming fleet. Human ships dropped out of warp, sleek, black, silent. They moved like shadows, engines burning red hot. The pirates opened fire first. Hundreds of plasma bolts filled space. The humans didn't dodge. Their ships absorbed the first hits, shields glowing blue. Then, in perfect formation, they responded. A single human voice came over the open channel. You attacked Earth. Now you face judgment. What happened next was fast. Too fast for the Council to believe. The human ships didn't fight like normal fleets. They used strange patterns, vanishing and reappearing, disrupting enemy sensors. Their weapons were compact but deadly, each shot cutting through armor like light through paper. Within minutes, half the pirate fleet was gone. The rest tried to escape, but the humans didn't chase. Instead, they deployed something new, tiny drones that surrounded the pirate planet. Each drone flashed once, sending an invisible pulse. Suddenly, all the pirate technology went dark. Their engines stopped. Their weapons froze. Even their communications went silent. The humans hadn't destroyed the planet. They had shut it down. The council chamber filled with gasps. Raxer stared in disbelief. They turned off an entire world. The speaker whispered, "That's impossible. No one has that kind of power." Vera watched the scene quietly. They do now. The hologram zoomed in on the human fleet. Their flagship turned slowly toward the council's observation probe. For a moment the image sharpened, and the human insignia came into view. A simple symbol of Earth, half covered by flame. A message appeared on the probe's monitor, written in perfect Galactic common. "We do not seek war, but we do not forgive." Then the feed ended. The chamber fell silent again. Even Raxer had no words this time. After several minutes, the speaker said softly, "Send a diplomatic ship. We must speak to them." Vara shook her head. "They won't answer. Not yet." The speaker looked at her, puzzled. "How can you be sure?" She met his gaze. "Because they told us not to interfere, and we didn't listen." He sighed heavily, sinking back into his seat. "If they can do this to the Dravak, what will they do next?" Vara looked out at the stars, her eyes cold and distant. "That depends on what the Council does now." Outside the chamber, across the dark sea of stars, human ships moved in silence. Swift, precise, unstoppable. They weren't running. They were hunting. And every pirate, every warlord, every corrupt official who had ever thought Earth was weak, now felt fear for the first time. Back on Earth, beneath the gray skies of a recovering planet, factories burned bright through the night. Soldiers prepared. Scientists worked without rest. Humanity was no longer waiting for permission from the stars. They were building their own destiny. And somewhere deep in the void, a message repeated again through the darkness, cold and clear. "We are coming." 2 weeks had passed since the destruction of the Dravak fleet. The galaxy was no longer calm. Everywhere whispers spread. The humans destroyed the Dravak. Some said it was a lie. Others said it was only the beginning. In the council chamber, the air felt heavy. No one dared to speak too loudly anymore. The humans had done something impossible, and now no one knew what they would do next. The speaker stood before the holographic map of the galaxy. Red dots showed new human fleet movements. They were spreading not as conquerors, but as watchers. Wherever they went, pirates disappeared. Slave markets went silent. Corruption faded overnight. "They are not attacking the innocent," the speaker said quietly. "Only those who once harmed them. Or us." Across the room, Raxer crossed his arms. "You call that justice? It's vengeance. And if we let it go on, one day they'll come for us too." Vera stood nearby, her blue cloak flowing behind her. She said nothing for a long time, then finally spoke. "I will go," she said. The speaker looked at her. "Go where?" "To Earth," Vera answered. "If we are to understand them, we must see what they have become." The speaker hesitated. "You know it's dangerous. They warned us to stay away," Vera nodded. "Yes, but I don't plan to interfere. I plan to learn." And so, the next morning, Vara's small ship slipped quietly through space, traveling toward the Sol system, toward the world that had shaken the stars. When she arrived near Earth's orbit, she saw it immediately, the scars. The blue planet was healing, but its wounds were still visible. Giant cities lay half destroyed. Oceans still carried the black smoke of burned metal. But there was also rebuilding. Massive towers rising again, ships taking off, workers moving in perfect order. Vera watched in silence. The humans were not mourning. They were preparing. Her ship's sensors picked up new types of energy. Strange, powerful, and clean. Something the Council had never seen before. She ran scans, but the readings made no sense. Impossible, she whispered. This is not human technology. Suddenly, her console flashed red. Multiple ships were locking onto her coordinates. She froze, expecting to be destroyed, but then one of the ships sent a message. Unidentified vessel. This is Earth Defense Command. Identify yourself, Vara hesitated. This is Vera of the Galactic Council, she replied calmly. I come in peace. I only wish to observe. There was a pause. Then the voice returned, cold and professional. You may enter orbit, but you will not leave your ship. A drone will accompany you. If you attempt deception, you will be destroyed. The message ended. Vera let out a slow breath. So polite, she muttered. And so dangerous. Hours later, her ship circled the planet. The drone appeared. A black, silent machine with the Earth insignia glowing faintly on its hull. It didn't speak. It only watched. From orbit, Vera studied Earth's surface. She saw something that made her uneasy. Massive structures hidden under the clouds, half factory, half fortress. They weren't just rebuilding. They were manufacturing something large, maybe fleets, maybe weapons. She activated her scanners again, trying to detect the energy source. But then the drone moved closer. Stop scanning, it ordered. Vera froze her controls. I'm only collecting environmental data, she said carefully. That's classified, the drone replied. Observation only. No analysis. Its tone was final. Vera leaned back in her seat. They've learned, she whispered. They've learned how to control information. Hours passed. From her window, Vera watched a shuttle launch from a new spaceport. It carried the human flag, a blue Earth surrounded by 12 stars. The humans were building colonies again, faster than the Council ever imagined. Then her sensors picked up something unexpected. Debris from the battle that had destroyed the attackers' fleet. Vara locked onto one piece, drifting quietly near the moon. She adjusted her course and approached it carefully. The drone followed but did not interfere. The wreckage was large and strange. Half human, half alien. Weapons she didn't recognize were fused with old human designs. Vara scanned the fragments and read the data silently. Her heart almost stopped. The metal alloy was not of human origin. It came from Council technology. Classified military tech. Things only the oldest races possessed, she whispered to herself. How did they get this? The realization struck like lightning. Someone from the Council had helped the attackers. Someone had armed them with forbidden weapons. The humans must have found the remains and learned from them. Now it all made sense. Their sudden power, their impossible energy sources, their new ships. They had taken the very technology used to destroy them and made it their own. Vara sat in silence, staring at the data. She knew what would happen if she returned with this information. The Council would panic. They would call for war. But part of her felt something else, a strange sense of respect. The humans had done what no one thought possible. They had taken pain and turned it into strength. Her thoughts were interrupted when the drone's voice returned. You have seen enough, Vara looked up. Will you destroy me now? She asked softly. The drone was silent for a moment. Then it said no. But remember what you saw here. Do not let them forget who started it. Before she could reply, the drone vanished in a burst of light. Vera turned her ship around and began the long journey back to the Council. Her hands trembled slightly as she entered the report. She knew this truth could change everything. When she arrived, the Council was waiting. The speaker stood as she entered. What did you find? He asked. Vera looked around the hall. Every member's eyes were fixed on her. The weight of the galaxy hung in that room. Finally, she said quietly, The humans have changed. They are stronger than ever. And I found proof that one of us helped their enemies. Gasps filled the chamber. The speaker's face darkened. Who? Vara shook her head. I don't know yet. But they used Council technology to attack Earth. The humans know this. They will come for the truth. Raxer slammed his hand on the table. They'll blame all of us. Vara's voice was calm. Maybe they should. The speaker turned toward the stars visible through the glass dome. Then the Council must decide, he said softly. Do we tell the truth or wait for the humans to make us? And as silence filled the chamber again, far away in the black void of space, new human fleets were already on the move. The Council chamber was no longer a place of peace. It had become a battlefield of words. For 3 days, the members argued. Every world, every species had something to say, and none of them agreed. Some wanted to talk with the humans to offer apology and peace. Others demanded that humanity be stopped before it grew too powerful. The speaker sat silently through it all, watching the room fall apart. "They've crossed too many lines," shouted Raxer. "They attack without permission. They ignore the laws of the stars." "And what law protected them when their world was attacked?" Vara asked coldly. Raxer turned on her. "Do not defend them. They will turn on you next. They always do." Vara didn't reply. She just looked toward the large window showing the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were moving again, quiet and unstoppable. The speaker finally stood. His voice carried over the shouting. "Enough, we are not enemies. We must decide our course together." But before he could continue, the chamber doors burst open. A young officer rushed in, out of breath. "Emergency broadcast," he shouted. "From the frontier colonies. You must see this," the hologram activated. The image of a desert planet appeared. Smoke covered its cities. Crashed ships burned across the surface. The speaker leaned forward. "Another attack?" The officer nodded. "Yes, but not by the humans. This was one of the races that funded the first strike on Earth. The humans found them." Vara whispered. "When?" The officer looked down. 2 hours ago." The hologram zoomed in, showing something that made everyone fall silent. The planet wasn't destroyed, and it was disabled. Every machine had shut down. No lights, no weapons, no movement. A message appeared over the image, written in simple Galactic common. "We remember. No explosions, no war fleets, only silence." The speaker sat back slowly. "They're showing mercy," he said. Raxor's voice was full of fear. "Mercy? They shut down an entire civilization. That's not mercy. That's control." Vara studied the image. "No," she said softly. "That's a warning." As hours passed, the council divided even more. Half believed the humans were doing what the council should have done long ago, punishing the guilty. The other half feared they were watching the rise of a new empire. Whispers filled the hallways of the great palace. Some spoke of war, others of surrender. At midnight, Vera stood alone on one of the balconies, watching the distant stars. The speaker joined her quietly. "You've seen them," he said. "You know what they're capable of. Tell me honestly, Vara, do you think they'll attack us?" She took a long breath. "Not yet, but if we try to stop them, they won't hesitate." The speaker sighed. "They can't control the galaxy forever." "No," Vara agreed, "but they don't want to. They only want to make sure no one hurts them again." He looked at her. "And if that means hurting others?" She turned to him. "Then maybe the galaxy should learn what Earth already knows. Peace has a price." The next morning, the council met again. The speaker called for order, but tension filled every corner. "We can't stay silent anymore," Raxer shouted. "If the humans continue like this, they'll bring chaos to every system." A calm voice replied, "And if we attack them, we'll bring our own destruction." Every head turned. It was one of the oldest members of the council, the Drethian sage Kaller. His species had seen 5 galactic wars. His words carried weight. He stood, his thin arms trembling slightly. "I have seen what happens when fear leads us. Do not make that mistake again." "But they are a threat," another shouted. Kaller raised his hand. "Yes, they are. But they did not start this. One of us did. We armed their enemies. We broke our own laws first." The chamber grew quiet. Even Raxer had no answer. Then suddenly the lights flickered. The hologram in the center of the room came alive by itself. A voice spoke, clear, strong, human. "Members of the Galactic Council, we mean no harm. But you watched in silence while our people burned. You sold weapons to those who attacked us. You lied to protect them." Gasps filled the hall. The council guards drew their weapons, but the speaker raised his hand. "Don't," the voice continued, calm and steady. "We are not asking for war. We are asking for truth. You will bring forward those responsible, or we will find them ourselves." The hologram changed, showing the faces of 3 alien leaders, all members of the council. One of them was Raxer. The chamber exploded in chaos. Guards surrounded him instantly. Raxer shouted, "This is a lie! Human propaganda!" But Vara stepped forward. "No, Raxer, I saw the data myself. The energy signatures match your world's weapons. You were part of it. Raxer froze. His face darkened. You don't understand. We did it for balance. The humans were growing too fast. Balance? Vara interrupted sharply. You call genocide balance? The speaker turned to the guards. Take him away. As they dragged Raxer out, the hologram spoke one final time. We will not seek revenge. But if you hide the guilty again, we will return. And next time we will not speak first. The hologram vanished. The lights dimmed. No one moved. The silence was unbearable. Finally, the speaker whispered. They were listening the entire time. Vara nodded slowly. They're always listening now. Outside in the dark void of space, human ships moved like shadows between the stars. They didn't fire. They didn't threaten. They only watched. Every council world knew. Humanity's eyes were on them. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy was quiet. Back on Earth, deep beneath the rebuilt cities, human leaders watched the council through holographic screens. One of them, an older man with gray eyes, turned to his advisors. They will blame us, he said. Another replied, let them. Truth doesn't need permission. The old man smiled faintly. Good, then we move to the next phase. Let them know what happens to those who play with human lives. He stood looking out at the stars. Justice, he whispered. It's our turn now. The council chamber had never felt this cold. Every light was dimmed, every sound echoed like thunder. The members sat in silence, waiting for what they all knew was coming. For the first time in history, a human ship was approaching the capital world of the Galactic Council. No one had invited them. They were coming by their own choice. The speaker stood near the great window watching the ship on the hollow screen. It was small, black, and carried no weapons on the outside, but everyone knew it didn't need any. Is the defense grid active? One officer asked quietly. Yes, the speaker said. But if they wanted to fight, it wouldn't matter. The ship entered orbit like a ghost. No escort, no salute, no request for landing permission. It simply descended through the atmosphere, guided by its own path. Vera watched it approach the landing bay. Her face was calm, but her heart was beating fast. She had met humans before, but this was different. These weren't explorers or traders. These were survivors, war-forged and unshaken. The doors opened, releasing a wave of warm air. 3 humans stepped out. Their uniforms were simple, black with the Earth symbol on the shoulder. They carried no visible weapons, yet every guard in the bay felt uneasy. The leader was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He looked around the alien soldiers as if he had already measured every threat in the room. I am Admiral Ross, he said, representative of the United Earth Command. His voice was calm but filled with authority. The guards moved to escort him, but Vara raised a hand. No need, I'll take them. Ross nodded once. Appreciated. As they walked through the long corridor, aliens peeked from doorways and windows whispering. Humans had always been seen as harmless, a young species still learning. But now they walked like predators among stars. When they entered the grand chamber, every council member rose from their seat. The speaker stood in the center. Welcome to Zithera, Admiral, he said. This is the first time your kind has stood in this hall. Ross looked around the room slowly, his eyes passing over each alien face. And I hope it's the last time I have to come here like this. The speaker hesitated. We understand you are angry, Ross interrupted quietly. Anger is temporary. Memory is not. The silence that followed was heavy. The human's words carried more weight than shouting ever could. You have accused some of our members of betrayal, the speaker continued. We are investigating those claims. Ross took a step forward. Investigating? His tone sharpened slightly. While our cities burned, you were negotiating trade routes. While our people died, you called it an internal matter. One council member tried to respond. We had no proof that council technology was involved. Ross's gaze stopped him. You do now. He pressed a small device on his wrist. The hologram above the chamber flickered to life, showing the evidence Vora had found. Council weapons fused with human metal, wreckage from the attack, and secret transmissions between council officials and the Dravak pirates. Gasps spread through the room. The speaker's eyes widened. Where did you get this? Ross looked straight at him. From your own battlefield. You left the proof lying in our orbit. Vera stepped forward. It's true. I verified it myself. The speaker turned toward her, shock on his face. You knew? I did, Vera said softly. And I warned you, but you didn't listen. Ross walked to the center of the chamber. "We are not here for revenge," she said. "We came for accountability. Those responsible will face justice by your hand or ours." The tension in the room thickened. Some members shifted nervously, others whispered. Raxor, now guarded and restrained, shouted from the corner, "You think you can threaten the council? You are nothing compared to the power gathered here." Ross turned his head slowly toward him. His expression never changed. The last species that said that no longer exists. The room went dead silent. Even Raxor stopped breathing for a moment. Ross continued, "We don't want war, but we won't beg for peace either. You watched while we were attacked. You sold weapons that killed children. Now you will decide what kind of galaxy you wish to live in, one built on truth or one built on fear." The speaker lowered his head. "And if we choose wrong?" Ross's reply was quiet, almost gentle. "Then you'll never have to choose again." He turned to leave, but before he reached the door, the speaker called after him. "Admiral Ross." "Wait." Ross stopped, half turning his head. The speaker's voice trembled slightly. "What will you do if we punish those responsible?" Ross looked at him for a long moment. Then he said, "Then we'll forgive. But we'll never forget." He walked out of the chamber. Farah followed him to the landing bay. "Admiral," she said softly, "not all of us wanted this. Some tried to stop it." Ross looked at her. "I know, and that's why your world still stands." Vera lowered her eyes. "They fear you, you know." Ross gave a small smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Good. Fear keeps them honest." He boarded his ship, and within seconds it lifted off silently, vanishing into the stars. Back inside the council, the speaker sat alone after everyone had left. The hall was dark, the stars bright beyond the glass dome. He whispered to himself, "You attacked Earth, and now the galaxy trembles." From somewhere far away, Earth's fleet moved through hyperspace. Calm, silent, unstoppable. They were not conquerors. They were guardians who had been pushed too far, and the galaxy finally understood. Humanity was not weak. They were patient, and patience, when betrayed, becomes the most dangerous weapon of all. The council chamber was quieter than it had ever been. Days had passed since the humans had left the capital world. Their presence still lingered like a shadow, heavier than any alien could bear. Reports arrived constantly from all corners of the galaxy. Planets that had once sold weapons to the attackers were now silent. Entire fleets had disappeared without a trace. Star systems once filled with smugglers and raiders were empty. The humans had not attacked indiscriminately. They had delivered warnings. Clear, cold, and unforgettable. Vera stood near the central hologram. Her expression was calm, but her mind raced. "They're testing us," she whispered. "They're showing us what happens if we lie or cheat." The speaker nodded slowly. "We must act carefully. One wrong move and the galaxy will burn." Suddenly, a transmission appeared on the council's main screen. It was from the human flagship. Everyone in the chamber froze. The hologram flickered and a human figure appeared, standing upright in full command uniform. His voice carried across the room, calm and firm. "Members of the Galactic Council, you have seen what we can do. You have seen the consequences of betrayal and weakness. You will make a choice, in justice or war." The words were simple, but every syllable was heavy. A murmur ran through the chamber. Some members looked terrified. Others whispered among themselves, unsure what to say. Ross continued, his eyes scanning the chamber, stopping briefly on Raxor's empty seat. "Those who have betrayed our people have been exposed. Their names are known. You may act to punish them. If you do, you will preserve peace. If you fail, we will act." The speaker swallowed hard. "Act? How?" Ross's tone sharpened. "You know what happens when you ignore the warning. One world has already vanished. Its population, its fleets, its cities, all gone. No trace, you saw it. Do not test us." Vara felt a shiver run down her spine. She had seen the destroyed Dravak fleet, but never an entire world vanish. Even the council's oldest members were pale. One of the younger members, trembling, asked, "And if we refuse?" Ross's eyes met theirs. "Then you will understand the full cost of disobedience, and you will not survive the lesson." The chamber went silent. Every leader understood. Humanity had the power to enforce its will without fighting. They did not need fleets to burn planets. They only needed precision, knowledge, and the right target. The speaker turned to the council. "We must decide quickly. Those responsible must be brought forward. Otherwise?" "Otherwise," Vara whispered, We are next. Outside, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. On the frontier worlds, Council spies reported human fleets moving quietly. No one knew where they would strike next. The humans did not broadcast their course, they simply appeared, and their presence was enough to change everything. Hours passed. The Council worked tirelessly, summoning evidence, verifying who had aided the attackers, and preparing judgments. The guilty would face trial, or worse, depending on the human's patience. Then the transmission changed. The human figure's voice returned. We are watching. One world has ignored our warnings. Their leaders continue to hide the truth. Their time is up. The hologram switched to a live feed of a small star system on the edge of Council space. The planet's surface glowed red, not from fire but from energy pulsing in the atmosphere. Cities flickered and died. Weapon systems shut down instantly. Communication satellites fell silent. Every living being looked up at the sky and felt fear. Pure, undeniable fear. Vara whispered, "No explosion. No debris. It's gone." The speaker's hand shook. They erased it. Not with bombs, but with control. Every system, every machine completely neutralized. The chamber went completely silent. Every council member understood the message. Humanity did not need to fight to win. They only needed to act with precision and patience. The hologram flickered back to Ross. We gave you chances. You failed to bring justice. Let this be the final warning. You will choose now. Punish the guilty or witness what happens to those who refuse to face the truth. Vara closed her eyes briefly. She had seen what humans could do, and now she understood why they had survived against impossible odds. They did not rush. They did not panic. They waited. And when the time came, they struck with absolute certainty. The speaker took a deep breath. We then will act. The guilty will be punished. Ross's face softened slightly. Good, then peace may continue. But remember this lesson. The galaxy will no longer ignore Earth. Any threat to our people will be met with the same certainty. No exceptions. The hologram faded. The chamber remained quiet. But the weight of what had happened hung over everyone. For the first time in history, the Galactic Council knew that a single world had risen far beyond their expectations. Earth was no longer a small, quiet planet. It was a force to be respected, feared, and never underestimated. Vera looked out through the glass dome at the stars. Somewhere beyond the reaches of the Council, human fleets were moving silently through the void, invisible but unstoppable. The speaker turned to her. They didn't need to destroy every world. One was enough, Vera nodded. They didn't need to. Fear and respect are more powerful than weapons. The chamber lights dimmed, leaving the stars bright in the dark. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humanity had awakened. And those who had dared to attack Earth would pay the price. Far away, in orbit around the blue planet, Admiral Ross looked at the Council's latest reports. Justice has been delivered, he said quietly. Now we wait. And somewhere deep in the void, new human fleets prepared to move again. This time not as vengeance, but as guardians. The galaxy had changed forever. The Council chamber had never been this quiet. After weeks of chaos, fear, and uncertainty, every member was tense. The humans had delivered their message. They had shown their power. They had given the ultimatum. Now the galaxy waited for the next move, and then it came. A single human ship entered the capital's orbit. It was sleek, black, and calm, with engines glowing faintly red. It moved with a confidence no Council fleet could match. Inside the ship, Admiral Ross stood before his crew. This is it, he said softly. We are not here to conquer. We are here to join. Outside, the Council's sensors tracked the ship as it descended toward the landing platform. Every alien present felt the same tension. Awe, fear, and an understanding that this world had changed. The doors opened. Humans stepped out. Not soldiers, not aggressors, but representatives of a new era. Their posture was proud, but their eyes carried calm authority. Vera met them first. Welcome back, she said. I hope your message was clear. Ross gave a small nod. It was, and I hope the Council understood it. They walked together into the grand chamber. Every Council member rose, some trembling, some whispering. The humans did not rush. They did not bow. They simply walked with measured steps, showing the weight of their experience and the power of restraint. Ross stopped at the center of the chamber. We do not come to claim your authority, he said. We come to join it. to show that humanity is not weak, and to ensure no world suffers as Earth once did. The speaker, his wings folded behind him, looked at the human. You offer peace, but you have already taught us fear. Ross's eyes did not waver. Fear is only temporary. Respect lasts. We seek respect for our people, our home, and the truth. Vara watched the reactions of the council members. They were pale. The weight of their guilt and fear was visible on every face. Even Raxer, still restrained from his previous crimes, lowered his head in defeat. Ross raised a hand. We are ready to sit among you, not as conquerors, but as equals. Our world has learned the cost of silence and betrayal. We will not forget, and we will not forgive lightly, but we will work for a galaxy that is stronger because of truth, not lies. The room was silent. The speaker took a deep breath. If we accept this, humans will have a seat at the council? Ross nodded. Yes, not to rule, but to guide. Not to punish, but to protect. One Earth may be small, but its people have grown in ways you cannot yet imagine. Vara stepped forward. They've learned from every species they've met. From every attack, every betrayal, and they've used it to build strength, discipline, and unity. That is why they are here, not to fight, but to prevent more war. The speaker finally lowered his head in thought. Very well, let them take their seat. But know this, the galaxy will watch this decision closely. Ross nodded again. We understand, and we are ready. For the first time, humans sat among the council members. Their seats were simple but symbolic, a reminder that their presence was earned, not given. The chamber was no longer tense. There was still fear, but it was tempered with awe. Respect. The speaker addressed the room. The humans have proven their power, their patience, and their judgment. Let this be a new era, where one world does not dominate but guides through strength, wisdom, and truth. Ross looked around. We do not seek revenge anymore. We seek vigilance. Together we can prevent history from repeating itself. Vara watched the humans, proud but cautious. They have changed everything, she whispered. Not through war, but through resolve. Outside in the stars, human fleets moved quietly. Not striking, not hunting, but guarding. Every planet knew their presence. Every system felt the weight of their vigilance. The galaxy had changed forever. Earth was no longer small. It was a guardian, a teacher, and a reminder of the cost of betrayal. The speaker stood alone for a moment, staring at the stars. You attacked Earth, and you made them stronger than anyone could imagine. Vara stood beside him, and now they are here to ensure it never happens again. Far above, the humans' flagship glowed faintly. Inside, Ross spoke to his crew. History will remember this moment, he said, not as the time we destroyed our enemies, but as the time humanity took its place among the stars. From now on, Earth will be a force for balance, truth, and justice, and the galaxy will know, never to underestimate us again. The chamber was quiet. The stars outside sparkled like diamonds. The council members looked at the humans, not with fear anymore, but with respect. Humanity had awakened. The galaxy had changed, and from that day on, no world would ever forget the power of patience, wisdom, and a people who had learned to defend their home. The final words echoed softly through the chamber, carried in every language across every world. You attacked Earth, and you made us stronger. The council could only stare in silence, and the story of humanity's rise in the stars had only just begun.